I'm back at it for my favorite and most popular segment, Q&A. This week, I actually got insulted by a massage therapist on LinkedIn, and I wanted to share the question that came out of the discussion and what I learned. The question was, I don't agree with everything you say about the treatment process, especially that chiropractic adjustments are not helpful and make the problem worse. I strongly disagree with this idea. Why can't you work together with chiropractors to give the client the best treatment options possible? What do you get out of bashing chiropractors so much? It can come across as you being a real jerk and downright arrogant. In this episode, I address all the aspects of this interaction, especially my strong disdain for any treatments that rely on chiropractic adjustments. I hope you enjoy the show. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Soft Tissue Revolution podcast, where we teach self-employed massage therapists a new treatment system that focuses on working smarter, not harder, allowing them to cut their treatment times by 50% so they can stay healthy and help more people get out of pain. Dr. Matt Maggio here. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking out the show. Let's jump right into it. Why can't we all just get along? I want to reread. Sorry, had a problem there talking. I wanted to reread the question that I got from a massage therapist on LinkedIn. They said, I don't agree with everything you say about the treatment process, especially that chiropractic adjustments are not helpful and make the problem worse. I strongly disagree with that idea. Why can't you work together with chiropractors to give the clients the best treatment options possible? What do you get out of bashing chiropractors so much? It can come across as you being a real jerk, and downright arrogant. Double insult there. That's okay. I want to dive into that topic on Q&A. I love doing these shows. And as always, if you have any questions you want me to cover, send them in. Even if you think I am an arrogant jerk, I will still engage and try to get you to see a different viewpoint about where I am coming from. I do a lot of reading. I've, been self-described as a nerd. I do a lot of reading on like human emotions and influence and human nature. I actually have a bachelor's degree in psychology, which is interesting, but I never thought I would do much with it, but it does help a lot in the treatment process and communicating with people and figuring stuff out. One of probably my favorite book and my favorite author of all time is a book called The Laws of Human Nature by a writer named Robert Greene. And one of the things he talks about is the different biases we have as humans. And one of them is really bad. It makes us very irrational. It's called a confirmation bias. Basically, we want to be engaged in looking at material that meets our worldviews, meets what we do, and just continues to affirm what we're doing is right. We don't really like to hear conflicting views or listen to other things. We kind of live in what all the progressive people call a echo chamber, where we only hear what we want to hear, and those biases continue to get reinforced. And then what happens is if somebody says something different, you get upset. You call them names like this person did. They said, I'm a jerk and arrogant, and you challenge their views. Instead of like getting mad and getting pissed off, what I like to do is if someone does challenge my views or I feel like an emotion or reactive towards something, I like to just dive in and think about it a little bit more. I'm like, maybe they do have a point, and look at different data. I look at conflicting data and really try to think for myself. Most people don't want to do that. I still struggle, like when this person sent that, I wanted to tell them to go fuck off, but I didn't do that. I'm getting older and wiser, and it doesn't get me anywhere. But it allowed me to kind of do some retrospection and understand and share why I've been kind of nice about it. But it's not the truth. I was just trying to be easy with it, but like, there's no value in a chiropractic adjustment whatsoever. And I think I'm a good person to be able to have these opinions and these ideas because I got a chiropractic degree myself. I dedicated 5 years of my life and spent well over $150,000 on an education that I think is very useless in the overall treatment process. And I'm going to be honest, I think it makes the problem a lot worse in many situations. So if you haven't heard my story about it, I'll keep it quick. My recap of why I'm so anti-chiropractic. like I said, I got my degree in it back in 2011. I was in chiropractic school from 2007 till the end of 2011. Spent well over $150,000 on a degree. What happened when I got out of school is, and this happens for a lot of us, is it's almost like I went to school to be an electrician and I got out and I didn't even know how to wire a house. And that's what I had with the chiropractic degree. It was very dogmatic, very like woo-woo and like the subluxation's the most amazing thing and you got to turn the power on and all that stuff. I started questioning the soft tissue stuff really quick. Where it clicked in for me was about, I was in my 5th trimester and we do 10 trimesters where we are. And this teacher was talking about the amazing healing powers of the chiropractic adjustment, going into all this woo-woo shit in all honesty. And I asked a question and I said, from what we're seeing in the anatomy, it's like the soft tissue, the ligaments, the muscles, the tendons, the fascia are really what holds the bone in place. So why don't we just address the soft tissue and fix that and not have to continue to do the adjustment? The teacher looked at me and looked like her head was going to explode. And she basically said, you know what, Matt, if you don't believe in the healing powers of chiropractic, you should probably drop out of school. Went back, did some reflection. I was like, fuck, I'm halfway through. I already put $75,000 into this. What am I going to do? So I said, fuck it. I'm going to be the rebel. I'm going to be the person that challenges everything. And I got really into soft tissue. We had an amazing anatomy lab in my school. I was able to really get good at stuff. I took a lot of advanced soft tissue courses and realized that shit was way better. And the soft tissue part of the treatment is what people actually need. They don't need the adjustment. And then that whole idea of like the subluxation complex, like research in chiropractic and stuff like that is like, it doesn't really tell you anything. The subluxation is so many things, like your bone's out of place, it's pushing here and it messes with all sorts of shit. It's very woo-woo for me. And even going back and looking at like the creators of the chiropractic institutions and the system itself. The first guy was like a magnetic healer. Okay, cool. And then his son took over. He was like a circus performer and stuff like that. And they're the people that really grew. And I understand some people do feel better with chiropractic and they swear by it and they think it's the most amazing thing in the world. But when you look at the numbers, really only about 9 to 11% of the population truly go to chiropractic. Most people don't. So what I looked at is like, I'm not really going to target those people or talk to those people because they're not going to be changed. They have some of those biases like we talked about. They have the confirmation bias. They have the conviction bias. And that's why I really I'm anti-chiropractic. And I think I can have a strong view on that because I put the time in, I went through it, and this person yelling at me and telling me I'm arrogant and a jerk, that's awesome that you felt better during chiropractic. But I hear more stories about people not getting better, going for, 80, 90 visits, feeling worse, causing bigger problems. And that's not where I want to be. I want to be in that 90% of people that are actually wanting to get their injury fixed and solved and get their treatment the right way. And I just don't think chiropractic is a treatment at all. And I think it does make things worse. I'll cover that a little bit more as we get into the podcast. But the question I always ask, and I get people all the time that reach out that work for, chiropractic clinics, and they say the same goddamn thing, like most of the clients that come into there, they just want to get like the massage work or the soft tissue work. They really don't want to do the chiropractic. They know it doesn't work. And the massage therapist is like, I know I'm better, but I'm afraid to be out on my own and I can never run a business by myself. So all that shit you talk about in those stories you tell themselves, and they know it works better. And a lot of times the chiropractors kind of get butthurt and get a little jealous and envious because like the clients want to see you more, but you know what? They're taking 30, 40, 50% of what you do, and they're not having to do shit. They're smart on the business side of things for doing that, but you're dumb for continuing to take that. Because if you know your treatment's better, you have better skills and people want to see it, go out on your own and get the 100%. Don't kick back 40, 50% back to the house for someone that's not doing anything and actually making things worse. Next week on the podcast, I'm going to dive in really deep about this idea called the order of operations, but it's really important in the injury treatment process, and you must follow it. And this is how I kind of put my lens on and understand, like, is this the right treatment? Is it going to help? Is it bullshit? Is it not? It has to follow the order of operations. And number one is you just have to restore range of motion. When an injury occurs, range of motion is limited. It could be from an acute trauma. It could just be from repetitive overuse stuff. It could be all sorts of things. And over time, when that happens, the tissue gets damaged, especially the muscles, the ligaments, the fascia, and then the nerves get stuck in there as well with what I call scar tissue. Scar tissue is like glue, gets inside there, makes it very weak, very inflexible. In order to start fixing the injury, we must restore range of motion first. This is why soft tissue treatment is the most important, and it's also the first thing that we should do. I'm going to cover this way more in depth in the next episode, but understanding that if we don't address and restore range of motion, it's not going to get any better. And chiropractors aren't doing that. They might temporarily improve it by doing an adjustment, but it's going to go right back to where it was. You have to get in there and clean up the soft tissue. This is why I always say the way to solve the pain pill epidemic and help people get better care is have better conservative front end treatment where people are getting quality hands-on soft tissue treatment and they actually get their injury fixed. Next step is where you balance strength. Over time, when scar tissue builds up, the muscles get weaker. We have to do corrective exercises to get in there and fix it, put it in a good place. Then we increase strength with overall global movements like that. We must follow the order of operations, and so many people want to like skip and jump around. We have to be the primary people that go in there and see it. I say we're the most important because we're the first people to come in, and we don't want a bunch of other practitioners in there doing a bunch of different shit and not really following that order of operations. We must follow the order. So why am I so anti-chiropractic? Because they don't fall in any realm of restoring range, increasing strength, balancing strength. They are not a treatment, and they might make you feel better in the short term. Great. Anyone can make you feel better. You can pop a pill and feel better. You can do a stretch and feel better. But is it actually fixing the problem? Because here's my view. The adjustment doesn't do much of anything. And in a lot of cases, it actually makes it worse. I've talked to a lot of clients. I had a new one yesterday, and she'd been going to chiro for like a year for headaches. And she's like, every time it just hurt and made me feel worse. Because here's what happens. A lot of times those popping and cracking of the joints that you get, those are the ones that are already moving too much. They're very hypermobile. And then we think, oh, we hear this crack and pop, 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 and it feels good. Oh, it's awesome. I got adjusted. What happens is the ones that are actually stuck down with the soft tissue dysfunction in there, they're not moving at all. And they're putting more pressure on the joint, on the disc. And as you pop the ones above and below it, they move more. It causes more force to go into the ones that actually need it. And that's where the adjustment can make it a lot worse. So what can chiropractors help with? I don't want to be full bash. I'll give them 1%. They can help with acute low back pain to decrease the symptoms in there. You see this a lot in their studies. They'll say, oh, chiropractic does help with acute low back pain. I hate treating acute injuries because there's so much going on. There's so much inflammation, everything like that. I tend to be more in the chronic realm where they've been dealing with it for a long time, because a lot of times acute injuries will just resolve on their own. And people think, oh, I threw my back out. I went to the chiropractor every day for 2 weeks and it was better. A lot of times the body just healed itself and got better. I like to be in the chronic injury where they've tried a bunch of other shit and it just hasn't helped. So yeah, it can help with acute low back pain. I just don't like treating those clients because usually they're just looking for a magical quick fix and they're not going to really see the process through, and they'll be back again when shit gets bad again. But then eventually it's just going to get worse and worse and worse, and they're going to have bigger problems. So it's like, I want people that have been dealing with some shit for a long time, appreciate what we do, and commit to the process. Now, I've been bashing chiros. I can't end the podcast without talking a little bit of shit about physical therapists. I'm not a big fan of physical therapists. I definitely don't dislike them as much as I dislike chiropractors. So can PT be useful? Yeah, I think PT is very useful if it follows that order of operations. Once the tissue gets cleaned up and you do the soft tissue work, yeah, balancing that strength, increasing that strength, and building up there with the exercises can definitely help and be part of the process. But they have to get the soft tissue cleaned up first. And that's where being good at soft tissue treatment comes in. Most PTs are not good at it, and they talk a lot of shit about it. And they're like, oh, these studies show that it doesn't work. And they never can understand that a lot of those studies were done by like university students that have no fucking skills and aren't good at what they do. They cannot fathom that someone like you that's been committed to excellence for 7, 10, 15 years, that's really fucking good with their hands, can actually fix some issues. So they bash it, and then they try to do it. They pretend like they do it. They might have taken like one ART course or some myofascial course, and they're like, yeah, I do soft tissue too. Now, motherfucker, you ain't even on our level as soft tissue experts. But yeah, we can play nice on the back end, because I don't want to be sitting there taking the client through a bunch of corrective exercises and things they need to do. I just want to get in there and fix shit and get it in a good place and then kick it off. So I do have good relationships with some physical therapists on the back end once we go in there and actually fix the tissue and get it healthy. And then this whole idea of exercises to fix an injury, I look at it this way. It's kind of like trying to fix a cavity by brushing and flossing. It's not going to do anything. We have to get the tooth, we have to get the tissue healthy first, then the exercises and stretches build it up and put it in a good place so it doesn't come back. Soft tissue, good soft tissue treatment. What I'm trying to teach you and try to show you, like being so fucking good that no one's even on your level, and just soft tissue treatment, not all the other shit, not cupping, not stretching, not corrective exercise, just being really fucking good with your hands. Because last time I checked, you are a manual therapist and you should use your hands and put yourself above everyone else, because you are the most important, because you're the first person they need to see. Because if you don't get to lay down the foundation, the rest of the injury is going to be in a bad place and it's going to be fucked. Yeah, for sure. So it must be the go-to. Then they can do PT, but in all honesty, don't bother with the chiropractic. It's not going to do anything. It's going to make things worse. And why even bother with that? So that's all I got. Use some choice language today. That's okay. I like that. I appreciate this person's question. I wish they would have been a little nicer and not called me a jerk and called me arrogant, but I'm that way for a reason, because I have real data and I have real facts. Because at the end of the day, facts don't give a shit about your feelings and where you're at. That's what I want to be. I want to be a truth teller and be honest about what's going on and motivate you to be better at what you do. Get so fucking good at soft tissue treatment and just help people and fix more people. Because if the conservative care model was working right, we wouldn't be where we're at with people on pain pills, surgeries, all sorts of shit. PT that doesn't work. Going to chiropractors, we have to take control and take it back, because we are the key to solving the pain pill epidemic, because we have the best treatments that people need on the front end. Go grab the free training. I'm always revamping that, doing a bunch of stuff in there about critical thinking, advanced palpation, results-driven treatment, all that good shit. Once you go through the free training, then you can take some of our CEU courses. They are available online and in person. You can come and train with me directly in my own clinic, see how this shit works, learn how to work smarter, not harder, and be a true solutions provider. And once again, the biggest lesson of all is continue to get better, and don't take shit from chiropractors and PTs, because they're just stuck in confirmation bias and they're afraid of you. But you end up taking a back seat because they have a doctor in front of their name, and that doesn't mean shit. I spent $150,000 on a doctorate. That really doesn't mean anything. I appreciate you guys listening, and I will see you on the next one. Bye. Thanks so much for listening. If you want help on the path to being able to double your income, all while working 50% less and being taken seriously as a healthcare provider, I have some great resources for you. Number one, get access to our free training modules and introduction to my system, the Peak Method. Number two, subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Soft Tissue Revolution. Links to all of this can be found in the show notes. Lastly, if you like the show, please leave us a 5-star review and share it with others that you know it could help.